Jaguars Travis Hunter receives blunt take on two-way stance. Jaguars Travis Hunter receives blunt take on two-way stance originally appeared on the Sporting News. The Jacksonville Jaguars have a franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence under center, so ESPN's Damien believes Travis Hunter will need to be more on offense than defense. With Week 1 fast approaching, the question surrounding the Jaguars is whether they will allow Hunter to be a two-way player once the games start to count. During an appearance on Friday's edition of Get Up, Woody didn't discourage Hunter from trying to play offense and defense, but did state that the offensive side should be where the player is on the field most. "I would say the side of the ball that matters most is the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence," Woody said. "Remember, this whole thing is about Trevor Lawrence. Think about this. Your head coach, Liam Cohen, why is he in Jacksonville? Because of the quarterback. That's right. You traded up. You traded up for Travis Hunter. But a big part of that is to help the quarterback. You have to get return on investment in your Jacksonville Jaguars as far as Trevor Lawrence is concerned. You're paying him north of $50 million per year. So for me, I need to see return on that investment. The offensive side of football is going to take more precedence." In 2024, the Jaguars invested heavily in Lawrence, giving the 25-year-old a 5-year contract worth $275 million. As a result, Jacksonville want to get the most out of their franchise quarterback, who will need to develop in-game chemistry with Hunter to ensure that this duo can lead them to a Super Bowl. More, Dan Patrick argues Jaguars Travis Hunter benefited from skipping SEC. Lawrence will need a reliable go-to target that he hasn't had during his time with the Jaguars, at least not one of Hunter's talent. It will be interesting to see if Cohen decides to lean more toward having the University of Colorado product on offense while putting him in packages on defense to see if he can be a two-way player in the NFL. In 2024, the Jaguars invested heavily in Lawrence, giving the 25-year-old a 5-year contract worth $275 million. As a result, Jacksonville want to get the most out of their franchise quarterback, who will need to develop in-game chemistry with Hunter to ensure that this duo can lead them to a Super Bowl. More, Dan Patrick argues Jaguars Travis Hunter benefited from skipping SEC. Lawrence will need a reliable go-to target that he hasn't had during his time with the Jaguars, at least not one of Hunter's talent. It will be interesting to see if Cohen decides to lean more toward having the University of Colorado product on offense while putting him in packages on defense to see if he can be a two-way player in the NFL. Lions safety Morris Norris was transported off the field in an ambulance, prompting the Lions and Falcons to agree to suspend the rest of Friday night's preseason game. Falcons running back Nathan Carter ran for 8 yards on the first play of the fourth quarter, and Norris went low to make the tackle. Carter's knee appeared to hit Norris in the head. Norris appeared to be knocked out on the hit. Medical personnel immediately got a backboard and a cart onto the field and began working on Norris before an ambulance drove to midfield. Lions coach Dan Campbell and his players gathered on the field, many taking a knee, before Norris left for the hospital. The Falcons' offense and Lions' defense, who were on the field when Norris was injured, snapped the ball and then gathered in a circle, holding hands and heads bowed as the final 14:50 ran off the clock. Norris played 2 regular season games last season, seeing 1 defensive snap and 32 on special teams. He also saw action in the playoff loss to Washington, playing 22 defensive snaps and 23 on special teams. Update 10:03 p.m. Eastern Time. The Lions released a statement saying Norris has been transported to a local hospital for further evaluation but offered no other information. The Jacksonville Sun was relentless, pouring heat down on the Jaguars' practice fields like it was trying to prove a point. Rookie sensation Travis Hunter jogged back to the sideline, helmet in hand, sweat tracing lines down his cheeks. He'd just finished a sequence in which he'd played cornerback for 3 straight snaps, then lined up wide at receiver on the very next play. It was nothing new for Hunter. He'd been doing it since high school, dazzling fans and baffling opponents, but this was the NFL. The speed was faster. The hits were heavier. The lungs burned quicker. And not everyone was convinced he could keep it up for 17 games. As he reached for a water bottle, Hunter spotted a familiar figure, Jaguars defensive backs coach, Marcus "Iron Eyes" Gladstone. Known for his no-nonsense delivery and a voice that could strip paint from a wall, Gladstone had never been one to sugarcoat anything. "Hunter," Gladstone barked, motioning him over. "We gotta talk about this two-way thing." Hunter grinned. "What about it?" "What about it? Kid, you're trying to sprint 2 marathons at once. It's exciting, spoiled, but you're not gonna impress anybody from the bench when your legs give out in week 6. Hunter took a long sip of water, weighing his response. "Coach, I've been doing this my whole life. This is what makes me me." Gladstone folded his arms. "That's college talk. This is the pros. Everybody out here is a monster. You take a wrong step against these guys, and you're not limping, you're out." The bluntness wasn't meant to insult, it was meant to ground. But Hunter was stubborn. He had heard the doubts before, first in high school, then in Colorado under Coach Prime. Every time he'd proved them wrong. Every time, he'd been the spark that lit up the stadium. Still, this wasn't just about proving a point. It was about surviving the grind. The locker room debate. That afternoon, the discussion followed Hunter into the locker room. Wide receiver Christian Kirk tossed a towel onto the bench beside him. "You know they're saying you're crazy, right?" Hunter laughed. "They've been saying that for years." Kirk shook his head. "Look, I love having you out there on offense. You're a nightmare for DBs. But when you're also locking dudes down on defense, that's double the film study, double the mileage. The vets aren't wrong to worry." From across the room, linebacker Foy Oluokun chimed in. "The kid's got heart. But this league, it chews up heart and spits it out. You gotta play smart if you want to play long." Hunter didn't argue. He just sat there, lacing up his shoes, letting the conversation swirl around him. Part of him knew they had a point. Another part, maybe the bigger part, refused to believe he couldn't be the exception. On the field, proving ground. The next day's practice offered another test. The Jaguars coaching staff decided to run a simulated game series. Hunter started at corner, shadowing the Jaguars' top wideout. He broke up 2 passes and made a tackle for loss. Then, without a breather, he jogged to the other side of the ball. This time, he ran a crisp post route, shaking his defender and pulling in a touchdown catch from Trevor Lawrence. The sidelines erupted. Even Gladstone cracked a small smile, though he hid it behind his play sheet. "Not bad, rookie," Lawrence said, jogging over to bump helmets with him. "But pace yourself. We need you in December, not just August." The media storm. Word of the internal concerns leaked to the press, because nothing stays secret in an NFL camp.